Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Monster Party.
Monster Party.
Monster Party.
Monster Party.
Monster Party. So, oh my God,
This is
have
crazy.
a show.
We do have a show. This is crazy.
First of all, the topic for this show is dystopian futures.
Dystopian.
Futures that aren't all that great.
Aren't utopian.
They're not. They're very much non-utopian.
Okay.
And we, your cast, will guide you through this landscape.
We're going to do it the best we can.
Yes. I am Matt WEINHOLD.
And I am Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James GONIS.
And we would like to welcome a very, very special guest.
Huge special guest.
Oh, my God. We've been trying to get this guy forever.
Ages.
Just old friend of mine. What more can I say? Actor, director, master comedian, special effects artist, model maker, inspiration, guardian angel.
My God. The list could go on and on.
Architect.
Maybe you should just say who he is.
It's Rick Overton, ladies and gentlemen. The great
Hey,
Rick
fellas.
Overton.
Thanks for inviting me to a little bash you have going on here.
Thank you.
I didn't bring any snacks, but I hope it's going to be okay if I sit in on the games.
And we've got some serious games in store, let me tell you.
Well, fantastic.
Dystopian futures.
Okay, so dystopian futures. Okay, so
Dystopian.
Dystopian.
Say one more time.
Dystopian.
Not dystopian.
No, it's look. Okay, well, I've just had a few drinks as we normally do, and it just
drinks.
takes a little while. Okay?
Dystopian.
Now, what would you say would be like one of the first dystopian futures that might have been seen in cinematic history?
Well, I think you'd probably have to go to Metropolis.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
by Fritz Lang.
Man, that movie is so influential in so many ways.
Does anyone know who books the gig of moving the clock hands on the giant clock face while steam shoots out around your shirtless body?
You know, but that
Who
is
books that, man? I want to see if I can land me some of that sweet, sweet money.
But it's so cool. You know, when you look at some of the stuff that all these people have to do, living down below, trying to work all these machines. I mean, it's really, really cool.
Well, it's a classic example of the working class versus the rich, where like the rich isn't even aware of like all these people working below to keep the rich, happy and comfortable. It's like there's this whole world below where this
it's such
guy's
a hip
in
movie.
Yeah, totally.
A telling hip movie that describes a lot of what's happening today perfectly, it seems.
Yeah.
Really.
We're in a dystopian future right now. Compared to the promise I was given by Kubrick that roughly 13 years ago there's going to be a civilian fucking space wheel going around.
Yeah.
By then
right.
we
Where
didn't
is
even
that?
have Pan Am by then.
Yeah.
I was devastated.
true.
We don't even get a
Where's that promise?
Where's the computer that tries to kill me?
Yeah.
No. I think
Yeah,
those
that doesn't have
exist.
Osimovian laws. Yeah, that would be Skynet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but Kubrick also promised a dystopian future with Clockwork Orange.
That's true. Very
Wow.
dystopian.
Yeah.
You're jumping all over the place here.
That's he sent a counter vision to
Yeah, really.
So that's
really.
that's 1971 with a really interesting cast. You have Malcolm McDowell who plays like the lead.
He's the ultimate delinquent, who just him and his group of droogs just go around raping and torturing and pillaging and
showing people the right way to wear a jockstrap.
and bowler hats. Yes.
I always wondered about that, the bowler hat and the jockstrap. I always felt a little weird watching that. That's what people would wear in the future.
Yeah, it's great. It's sort of a precursor to punk.
Well,
Yeah,
look,
yeah.
I mean, in a weird way, it has a little bit of the gang flash with some pragmatic. The most important thing in his life is completely shielded and covered during a gang fight
true.
with knives and sticks.
His
Yeah.
wiener.
His
Yeah.
dick
Totally.
and balls are his entire existence. That's his other Ludwig von,
That's right. And
Protect
it's a
the balls
classic
at all
example of like the government trying to so-called rehabilitate the immoral guy,
Exactly.
with like iffy results.
Poke his eyes open and make him watch images. And
Right.
Did you know that the record store he's walking through, you know the names of all the records, you know the story behind that?
No.
No.
Tell me.
Oh, it's a neat piece of trivia.
I want to know.
There are bands like Haircut 100, Flock of Seagulls,
Heaven 17.
Heaven 17.
Right.
No.
Those are all Kubrick just came up with the names.
You're
and they
kidding.
took them. They all took them from that movie.
Oh, nice.
I had no
Kind
idea.
of like how Duran Duran took their name from Barbarella.
Barbarella.
Cool.
Right.
And they're a great band.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Justin Bieber actually got his name from Clockwork Orange.
Okay,
a lot of people don't realize.
You're just being silly.
He was originally one of the Droogs. I think.
I thought it was Bieberella.
Come and get one in your Justin Bieber's, Billy boy. In Poison.
I mean, that is just a trippy film.
It's one of those films that I so enjoyed as a teenager. Because for all its horribleness, there is something that is kind of attractive about the juvenile delinquent aspect of Alex and the fact that they try to change him.
Yeah, the fact that they get you to root for him to go back to the way he was.
Yeah.
Right.
Dirty, brilliant, dirty trick.
Yeah,
you know?
and it's like, obviously, I never wanted to be in a gang or be a rapist or a criminal and all that, but there was this interesting element of that's some really good storytelling into making the bad guy the good guy.
Well,
somehow.
the way Kubrick shot that, too, if you watch that movie, the first half of the movie, when Alex and his droogs are doing all the horrible crimes, it's all kind of filmed at a distance.
Yeah.
And it's all kind of like you're watching as a voyeur, but like when he's being tortured and you're right there with him and you're experiencing with him. So it's like Kubrick purposely does it so that he desensitizes.
It's the distance a sociopath feels from the crime they're committing, and now it's him. Now you're just a person. Feeling
and you're
it, right?
And it was one of
experience
those films too where Kubrick was actually really personally disturbed over the outcome of that film and how that there were all these sort of like copycat crimes.
I mean, it was a very popular film, and it was rated X, wasn't it?
I believe
so.
Yeah.
Rated. I mean, the date was at 71. So I mean, I didn't see it in a theater. I didn't see it till years and years later. But I remember hearing that it was rated X, and so it was a restricted film, and only you had to be a certain age to see it. But it created there were a bunch of people who became like copycats in a way. Isn't that true?
Yes, that's right. And Kubrick was really kind of shattered by all that and kind of disassociated himself from the film for a while.
Right. Yeah.
But I remember seeing it in my high school.
No,
I had a really
you saw it
cool,
in high school?
I had a really cool hippie English teacher.
Oh, wow.
Who brought it in.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
How old were you?
I don't know. Got to be
14, 15?
something like that. Yeah.
That explains a lot.
That is messed up, man.
I mean, talk about dystopian future, though.
Yeah,
because the delinquency run rampant and like government trying to control you and brainwash you and rehabilitate you by through torture and brainwashing. I mean, that was just a very bleak kind of look.
And then making a comment like, which is worse, the violence that he's doing or the violence in society?
And it was kind of an undisclosed future too. It was just like a kind of anytime future of Britain.
Does Clockwork Orange age well though? Has anybody seen it recently?
Yeah.
Actually, it does.
I think it's amazing.
It's just as shocking.
Because-
It's just as compelling.
Because it's one of those movies that it's not like Logan's Run in the sense of that it's one of these
disco.
Take
it easy about Logan's Run, buddy.
No,
Okay,
hey, I love Logan's Run.
Okay.
I love Logan's
But
Run.
it has that dated 70s feel.
Talk about a dated movie where you go like, boy, all culture stops at the 70s, and we just everybody's got feathered hair, and that's the way it's going to be.
I like that future. I thought that was a gorgeous.
Where are all the feathered hairs now?
I love the feathered hair, but what I'm saying is that you watch Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
Clockwork Orange has a feel of like this is just stuck in this alternate universe.
Right.
It almost has a Terry Gilliam if you look on it.
Yes.
Because Terry Gilliam obviously was very influenced by certain things.
Right.
Totally.
But I say he's influenced by all the best things.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Well, like Metropolis influenced Brazil.
Yeah,
which
that's
is
Right.
Brazil. That's another one. That's another dystopian.
Great.
Dystopian, although in a weird way, it's kind of
No, it is. That's not a great society, Sean.
I'm saying,
Not for
dystopian.
those underground people. It was
Right. But dystopian in someone's mind. I mean, if you looked at the movie, I'm not without giving away. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's a dystopian from a point of view of a particular character.
It's absolutely dystopian.
Right.
You know, it's just like the society is overrun by all of these bean counters and endless paperwork.
Right, red tape and bureaucratic mistakes.
Right.
That
Sean, when I was watching that film, when I was watching Brazil, was that Jonathan Price? Jonathan Price,
yes.
directed by Terry Gilliam, and what was the date on that? That was 85.
Kim
I remember
Geist.
being so frustrated during the movie when there's the typewriter that has the little mistake,
Right.
and it gets the name, and I'm like,
right.
through the whole film, everything that happened, I was like, and I was like irritated. I was irritated with the whole film. When I left the movie, I wasn't sure if I liked it or not. It was just so.
Well, the fact that it got under your skin,
It did.
and that's what's great about good satire. It doesn't have that
ruffles your feathers.
Yeah, that 30-second shelf life. It sticks with you. It gnaws at you.
My feathers were ruffled. In Brazil.
Totally.
Well, now, no, go ahead.
And
James.
not a feel-good happy ending either.
No. But
Well, actually, ironically, it is the most feel-good. And where feel-good goes is it's just purely in his mind at this point.
That's true. By the
He's
end of his
smiling
last
at-
shot, he's gonna like madness is feeling good in a way. Like he's completely mad.
Sure.
It's always been in your mind to begin with, and you can escape from there, Dorothy.
Yeah.
Totally.
But I always felt like Brazil was sort of like the big comedic satirical version of like 1984. And the one with Richard Burton.
Oh, yeah.
Which one?
1984. Made in 1984. Yeah.
Actually made in 1984.
John Hurt.
Richard Burton, John
yeah.
Hurt is so good.
Yeah, he really is.
And and I watched. There was a 50s version, I think. With
Edmund O'Brien.
Edmund
I think,
O'Brien, which
1956.
is good.
Also good for its time. Yeah.
But there's the bleakness that 84 production is able to accomplish, and just all the little things of like, hey, can I trade just something for one razor blade, and how just every little tiny thing is precious. And the one thing that was utopian about that world was that pubes came back. I don't know if you remember. There's the sex scene.
Yeah.
There's a sex scene with John Hurt and his girl, and she takes off her clothes, and man, it
was Pubetopia.
It was.
Now
it was like someone wearing a bee beard.
Okay, but listen. The film was made in 1984. This is like the glamour days of Bush, but. You're saying,
you're
saying,
just blew my mind.
I'm sorry,
it was a metaphor.
Demon booze, but I oh God, what was my point? Okay, no. I had a point. Shut up. I had a point. The film was made in 1984, but the movie of the story takes place. I was going to say in the future, but it takes place in 1984.
An alternate future.
Yeah. So I guess because like right now, the bush is not really a big thing, right?
I know. And that's what I was saying. It was like it's nice to she went a little crazy with it.
No, it's okay. It's okay. She went a little crazy.
There's some things they missed about the future.
In that movie,
whether it's the flying cars, which if you think about it, look how great everyone drives on the ground. Let's get them up there and let's get them plowing through high rises while they're dicking with their fucking
Wait a minute.
GPS.
While they're on their phone.
So what you're saying is
make a left here, please.
So the Jetsons is the ultimate dystopian future.
That's true, right?
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. And there's a lot of George Jetson works at that horrible job with the bean counters.
That's right.
Horrible.
1984.
It's a horrible dystopian future.
Hanna-Barbera's 1984.
His wife takes all his money.
I do like all those flying cars though. I do like all the
George
flying
Jetson
cars.
was pretty freaking miserable.
It was.
But doesn't that...
it's the spinner. The spinner car.
Yeah, from Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
Yeah, totally.
That's another.
And then a lot of and then civilians get them, and that's when they won't take care of them.
right.
And
Don't you?
When your mom loans you the beater fucking flying car. It was my first flying car. It was in college, and I didn't really take great care of it. And so they'll have to come up with some sort of passive restraining thing like they had in that movie to Mars, where the entire capsule just had exploding inflatable spheres pop up around it. You'll just sphere out. Whatever you land on will be utterly crushed, but you'll be fine.
Like a giant airbag.
I want one.
But the Blade Runner future in particular, I mean, downtown LA was always rainy and there were always people walking around. And I'm thinking, wait, this is LA? I mean, it's only downtown. Downtown really did look like that. I think it still does.
It's Blade Runner from 1982.
And he was predicting the rain from all the melted ice caps.
Yeah.
Right.
Which supposedly next week we're going to see.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But what about Malibu? Like, what about other parts of LA?
Well, no, but they
I don't
always
remember that movie.
They're submerged.
But they always
That's why
reference
there's a city built on top of the city.
That's
why buildings are on top of
you see
buildings.
old architecture, and on top of that is new stuff, and that's why they're always referring.
That's what I really enjoyed about that movie, the art direction wise, all the props and
In Blade Runner.
In Blade Runner, where they just the idea of the parking meter that had all these like 9 different things on top of it, and
the
who knows what they were
umbrellas,
for.
the umbrellas with like the glowing,
the
kind
glowing.
of
I remember seeing an article in Cinefantastique about all the detail that went into that movie.
It's still one of the most realistic future worlds to me on film I've ever seen. I still
like
the
Atari logo.
Yeah, right. Atari, which doesn't exist.
Hey, you know, no. What you don't know this.
Atari came back.
Yes, you don't know if Atari comes back.
No.
So see, I buy that. I buy
Or
that.
it was hipster ironic.
Yeah.
But you know what? Blade Runner, actually, the movie takes place in Los Angeles 2019. So we're not
Not
far
that
off.
far off at
That's
all,
right.
guys.
That's right.
Wow.
We're almost there. We got
Maybe
Yeah.
I'm a skin job, and I didn't know it.
So Blade Runner.
Get off my plane!
So Blade Runner.
She won't leave.
But then again, who does?
Who does? Ay, ay, ay.
Aren't you Commander Adama?
Blade Runner from
I'm going to
1982.
teach you math in a very sensitive way.
We're using origami?
Geometry. All right. Hey.
You know, you poke fun at that, but you know, let me just tell you.
Just thank you for getting all the in jokes,
yeah.
fellas. That makes look at me and man, we're set now.
Yeah,
we just shot our joke nut with
yeah. Apparently you did.
You got that run. If everyone got that run, we're pretty good. After that.
Here we're talking about this great film that I have so much. You know, I admire it so much. You guys are just like
That's the
just
way we
ripped it apart.
Great
It has,
movie, though.
you know, it has some really great moments in
One of my
that film.
favorites of all
Yeah.
Well, the whole concept of the replicants, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, that's always the question. Are they humans? Are we just as good as the replicants or not? I mean, and who is a replicant, who isn't?
You know,
Yes.
it's funny. I saw on the internet recently about some of these really fancy robots that are coming out of Japan.
I've seen them.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the videos.
yeah, yeah.
They don't have the motion down at all.
Rick, but they're working on it. They're working on it. They're
got
gonna
that-
get there.
that weird
Yeah,
jiggle
I know,
and
I
return
know,
to the
I
head.
know.
They have the same head wobble that Schwarzenegger's dummy head had on the surface of Mars.
Okay.
With the jiggly diggly ears.
Yes, but Rick, yeah.
One of my favorite scenes is actually see someone's eyes go back into their head.
And they survive. They survive.
How you doing? I'm fine. Just shake it off.
Hey,
right.
But
Your eyes don't just go
what
back
you're
in
saying,
your fucking head.
I mean, what you guys are saying, it's like, oh, what's the point? But it looks stupid. They'll never get it. That's like saying, you know, gee, we shouldn't work on that light bulb. You know, that's a stupid idea. They're going to work on that, and they're going to get they're going to get that robot right.
They probably will,
man.
yeah.
And
They
so
probably
when
will
Sean goes
one
back
day.
to the replicant thing, you know, when robots get to a point where they can be like almost like a member of your family,
Right, right.
So
I remember how
it's gonna
long
be-
it took to get a CGI guy to get Robert Patrick to lope
and still
lope,
CGI.
and then he started to. Then once they fucking thank God it was him again. So it
Yeah,
moved
'cause
normal,
still
'cause
you-
they couldn't get
yeah.
a machine to do it right.
And still, it doesn't quite right. Still, even the best CGI human movement isn't quite
And talk about dystopian
right.
future. I'll be kind of terrified when they make it perfect. And when they make it
Yeah,
perfect,
right.
then we got some things to worry about.
Hey, they're getting
no
there.
room for us.
yeah, no,
Yeah, really.
We're done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But talk about
humor only works with complaints about things that didn't work right.
yeah, that's true, right?
Okay, so look here. We've been talking about some dystopian futures that are kind of like not really the
something in society that's fucked up.
Okay,
or
but
goes
now
wrong.
there is a film, and I know that you'll agree with me. It is kind of messed up, but still, it is a nice little universe in a way, and that would be.
Soylent Green.
No, I was gonna talk about Logan's Run.
Oh well, yeah, Logan's Run from the computer side of it.
This
it's
I
a
got to
utopia.
hear. This I got to hear about. It's a nice little universe.
It is a nice little universe.
Let's hear this out. Let's hear this
okay,
out.
first of all,
ahead.
all
It's
your
a
needs-
parable for Hollywood. You're dead
bingo.
after 30 in this town.
Yeah, really.
Bingo, yeah.
Enjoy all the pleasures of life and then die at 30.
Yeah, you stand on the footprints in the man's China, and then
Yeah.
disintegrate while the crowd
Sanctuary is the Bob Hope Clinic.
Look. I'm
It
not
lives
look,
in a mall. It's all about beauty and youth. It's fucking
Yeah,
Hollywood.
but the premise of it's like it's this wonderful society, and you get to 30, and then you go into this little area called Carousel, where everyone thinks
Right.
you get zapped and you get turned into like a little baby.
you're reborn again.
You're reborn.
Right.
Yeah, it's like a religion that I think I remember.
Okay. But still. the nice part is all these great things are provided for you. That's the good part.
Well, it's people living in complete denial, complete.
I know what you like.
Ignorance. It's people living in ignorance.
You like sex shop, don't you?
It's hedonism.
No. That was pretty cool. Okay, thank you, Sean. That was very nice. Obviously, the messed up part is there's really this whole other thing. It's like you're really.
Well, I guess is it supposed to be actually that the computer's controlling the population, right? Because the idea is they're going in carousel. Everybody thinks they're being reborn, but they're just killing them off.
That's right.
So they can control the number of people, right?
And not everyone gets reborn,
right?
Isn't the idea
no one gets reborn.
Well,
no,
right.
but I mean, like they think that
Everybody thinks. Yeah,
they all.
Yeah.
I always thought that there was a certain ones that got chosen or something.
No, it's an Excalibur-like goal yet to be attained, but is foretold that the special one will.
There you go. See, and there are people who.
I don't know.
Rebel against.
That's just what you always fucking hear. I have no idea.
So anyway,
that's going to be my ringtone.
But what's really
that
cool
phrase
is
that you just said.
You have this one character.
Right.
You have this one character played by Michael York.
But first, there's a faction of people called runners who wanted to rebel
Sandman,
against the
and
idea.
he's a Sandman.
So Sandman come to kill the runners, and they're always like, "Why be a runner? That's so stupid to have us kill you when you can just go to carousel and be reborn." But what they don't know is that there is no carousel. You're just being zapped away.
Yeah.
And they're all enclosed in this dome city, and they don't realize there's a whole other world outside, which kind of is a post-apocalyptic world.
That meme has followed a lot of different things about forbidden zones like Planet of the Apes.
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
THX.
An area, THX is and it's always a place you should go.
right, exactly.
Although
the movie The Island.
Right. Yes, yeah, that's the clone one, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Oregon Cloning Factory.
Yeah.
There wasn't that a remake of another film, the Clonus Horror?
Well,
yeah,
it wasn't an official remake.
That's a good movie.
It was, the Clonus Horror.
That's better, actually.
Yeah, it's actually better. I think they got in a little legal trouble because it was so similar, but I don't think it was officially.
And the basic premise of that is
it's a great premise, which is like the clones are kind of. If you're developed, and then they're going to be sent out into America, to the world. You're kind of developed, and kind of you learn what to do in life, and then they send you out to America where you actually will live that life. But what they actually are doing is they're using your body parts.
But you see, it's more than that. It's like it's wealthy people who have money who can pay to give like a sample of their skin and blood, and it's made into a clone.
And
so basically, into one whole
and so the clone basically is raised, and then they suckle the air out of him and put him in a sack, and he's freezing. So if you have a problem with a heart, or
it's extra parts that you always have, right?
So it's a utopian future.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe that's
For David Crosby, it is. Welcome to the future, David. Woo-hoo. Pop, you just see the champagne bottle. Pop.
Jesus, seventh liver, man.
Back in 1981, there was another
Take
film.
Me to the liver.
Called Escape from New York.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
that's kind of a dystopian future.
Oh, that's definitely one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it always bugged me that, so it's like, oh my gosh, we got so many prisoners, there's so many,
well, it's like all the crime, there's so much bad crime,
Yeah.
they just shove all the bad guys onto the island of New York, right, and just leave them there.
Yeah.
And they do whatever they want.
Whatever they want.
Right, and
Don't you think these guys could figure out how to, make a helicopter or something?
Well, no, but they're always patrolling
that's
the place.
right.
They always, there's
it's dystopian when Manhattan real estate goes down that far.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
They're
Skip
giving
New
it up
York
for
is
that.
kind of like a Giuliani campaign ad. See, this is what it's going to be like.
This is
In
what
real
Times
life.
Square would have looked like if it wasn't for me.
Yeah, they're not giving that patch of land up. It would be like Escape from Barstow, which, by the way, is every day of every week.
I'm going to get the funding.
John Carpenter loved Kurt Russell's impressions. Loved them. Because mostly he uses them. He's doing impressions of other
Eastwood
people.
and right. I mean,
It's a total
John Wayne.
Right.
Trouble in Little China.
I got a little upset. I was a little upset when I first saw it because I go, you're doing Clint Eastwood. Why didn't they just get Clint Eastwood to do this? And then you see Lee Van Cleef there. Lee Van Cleef shows up,
Right.
who I absolutely love.
Yeah. Bliskin, I got a job for you. Yeah.
But yet I love his impression. I do.
Yeah,
I do.
It's great.
He's so good at it.
Yeah.
You lose yourself into it, and he's
Absolutely.
just good.
And he has a
Girls
little bit
are
of
just
a
good.
he has a nod and a wink to it that kind of
totally.
makes it work. Yeah.
Plus, it's the ultimate like nihilistic ending where he has the chance. There's a cassette, and he just decides to destroy it.
Yes,
right?
so it's like it has to do with world
Spoiler
peace.
alert.
and-
Like, fuck it, fuck it.
When a micro cassette can save the world. Jesus.
What John Carpenter movie needs to be remade? They Live.
Oh,
Now, since it's true, since it's a fucking documentary now.
Oh my God! Yeah, talk about. You're right. Totally.
Yeah.
Yuppies that are like skull lizard people that could, steal all your money and then just transport back to their planet with it, get away with it.
is that dystopian? That's like,
It is. It's a dystopian present.
Yeah.
They're completely taken over.
You're just crossing us off your list. Like I thought that was a good feature. Okay, all right. No, Logan's Run. No, okay.
it's kind of interesting. You think that if you were in that kind of a society where things are just going amok, and it's like, okay, so there are people in power say, what do we got to do? We got to do something to make the derelict people, all the people who are like, just
They're
come
called the
together.
homeless?
Yes.
Jesus.
What would we?
That's what the zombie movies are for.
What would be great than to
all
have
the hobos.
Okay,
I got it.
Okay, have a series of games. Have a series of games that you could show. Okay. I was
several.
Yeah, well, no. What I was going to say is like the Running Man, because in the Running Man,
Rollerball.
Well, yeah.
Hunger Games.
Yeah, exactly. See, all these that you just mentioned.
Death Race 2000. It's the whole idea of like let society get all their pent up frustrations and anger
Bread and
out
circus.
Bread and circus,
by
yeah.
showing by a national contest or game that everybody can watch and root for, and like that's where all the violence goes into. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
But I loved. I really like Running Man. I mean, I know you guys think
Of all those movies,
Yeah,
Running Man.
Yeah, I do.
Now, Running Man, having Richard Dawson in it was a stroke of genius.
That was
loved
that
it.
was fun.
But
I agree with
It
you.
was based on a Stephen King book, writing his pseudonym Richard Bachman, and the book is like 10 times better than the movie. If only if it were closer to
Well,
that.
they turn it into a kind of a dumb action Arnold movie, which is still fun, but it's not
fun.
much
It's
to
fun.
it. It's pretty. Yeah.
King had also written at around the same time The Long Walk, which is a little like The Hunger Games, and I think Frank Darabont is going to have something to do with making that one.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's a great book too.
If we're going to talk about that type of movie, then we got to talk about the winner, in my opinion.
The winner.
Yes, which is Battle Royale.
Oh, yes.
If we're going to talk about
Awesome.
Well, set up the premise
Kinji
of that.
Fukasaku, who is known for
Oh my God, so many things.
so many, but one of our favorite movies, The Green Slime,
Classic.
Love that film.
And Virus, which is
and
also-
Virus,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. But it's really the Hunger Games in the sense of that there's a school that whenever there's a class that's kind of like sort of letting the school down, they're kind of the punks of the school. They go, hey, we're going on our big field trip picnic and load them all into a bus and gas them. The next thing you know, they wind up on an island and they're just given bags, like grab a bag, get out of here. And just try to kill each other on the island, and the last one who is alive gets to walk off the island. But what's great is that like you don't know what you're going to get in the bag, so you open up the bag and like you might get a gun, or you might get an axe, or you might get a magnifying glass, or a set of curlers. Like, and it's so great and grim, and has a dark sense of humor
And the way
as
the
well.
characters act too, like they're out. They realize they have to survive. They just do what they can in different ways.
And it really shows how people change too under those circumstances where you have to survive. It's this or your ass.
Well, and the name of the film, Ian, is
Battle Royale.
And it was done when? When was this?
I want to say like 90.
Yeah, early 90s, I believe.
right.
Yeah.
Okay,
And,
so
Classic.
some of the kids, most of the kids don't want to take part in it, but they have to. Some of them are just natural killers to begin
Right.
with.
Their instincts just come out. It's like a Lord of the Flies kind of thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
it was 2000.
okay.
And there are kids also, if I remember correctly, it's the last time I saw it, there are a couple kids that are sort of ringers that
Really?
are guys that are just good at this, good at killing, and they throw them into the mix as well.
But my favorite part of it is that there are some who are like computer geeks and they try to figure out a way to
A way to get
sabotage
out.
the whole
Yes,
thing.
it's
Right, right.
really,
Love that. Love that.
really smart.
good.
See, I to be honest, I have not seen this film, but you've
great.
So great.
It's awesome.
You've given me like a reason to
Yeah.
see it. So
It's
I'm
the
gonna
brutal, real version of the Hunger Games.
Yeah,
Although,
yeah.
just from the movie, I've never read the books, but the Hunger Games, the last one I saw was better than the first one.
Yeah.
I like the last one, yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
it looks like it's going to get Now it's
more into the
shit's
world.
real now. Yeah. Now it's
instead
gonna
of
be
like concentrating on all in the game, which that gets old after a while. But like that just weird world of anytime there's this distinct class warfare, I'm like, let's go.
But like, what about going back?
Robocop.
Totally.
See, I love
Verhoeven.
Crime.
There's a difference when you have a Dutch guy
Yeah.
directing how fascism works,
Yeah.
Totally.
He has a different perspective on
Yeah.
whether it's, landing on the bug planet or whatever.
Right.
Starship Troopers.
Well, I get that. That's the Trooper film, but I mean,
I'm just saying
that's a
Robocop
dystopian
too,
future.
but he had a very ugly vision of
Yeah.
authority's influence on it. It wasn't just the crime-ridden streets,
Right.
but how closely authority needed those crime-ridden streets to be their dance partner.
Right.
Oh,
Which is so much of what we're playing with right now on our streets. We're facing that Detroit right now.
Yes. Absolutely.
Really.
And it's just a couple of cities away from where it would have been happening in the movie anyway.
So what you're saying is we could use RoboCop now.
We could use him with Murphy's conscience reactivated.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy
And
you brought.
deactivating the thing where you can fucking bust on a CEO.
Do you remember? And I think was it a RoboCop? Was it RoboCop 2? I think what they tried to do is they tried to replicate. They tried to make other RoboCops, but Murphy had something inside of him that the other cops didn't have, and so the other cops, when they tried to make these other RoboCops, they were they couldn't deal with it. Like one shot its head off and started shooting other people.
Well, that's ultimately what would happen with the RoboCop line. You try to create a bunch of them, and they're all going to be, it becomes like shockwaves, which is we discussed in our zombie episode. When you try to make dead people into killing machines through Frankenstein science.
Yeah, if you thought their marriage was disintegrating before. Good news.
But I also love.
Is there something you need to tell me, Frank? Have a nice day.
I remembered your anniversary. That's got to count for something.
That has to count for something.
Did anybody see the RoboCop remake?
No, there's
I didn't. I purposely did not want to see that.
They're remaking Verhoeven, they're trying to take his sort of weird, seditious, lefty vision out of everything and just make it all modern heroes. I don't know if you've noticed this, but modern heroes now are not like the heroes I was raised on. I was raised on Joe Johnston's version of a superhero where Captain America sees a grenade land on the ground, even if it's a dummy, and he dives on top of it. And he goes, get out of here, get out of here.
Yeah.
That was the hero I was raised on. The guy who runs into the burning house, brings the kids out. Today's modern hero is a guy who has two gunmen after him and makes you get out of your fucking car with a gun. You get out of the car. He takes your car with your mom's medicine in the back seat. Fuck you and your mom. And he starts driving the wrong way into oncoming traffic while vans full of
the
children
ends justify the means.
flip,
Yeah.
and the gunmen are right behind him, and they're hitting every other fucking car except his because he led them straight into head-on traffic because he's the hero.
This was a Colin Farrell vehicle, right?
Yeah, well, it's just there's a lot of heroes doing that now, and they're calling that the fucking hero.
Well, I think it
And
depends.
it's like, the new Superman.
Yeah, the new Superman.
Oh, yes, I agree with you. Destroy the entire city to get one guy.
The city. They're mentioning he killed one person. There's no way he didn't kill family after family, blowing through living rooms and building structures.
Right.
Did they say the whole place is evacuated? If not, he has tons of collateral damage.
Yeah, Godzilla has killed less people.
Yeah.
After all that giant fight, and at the very end, he's trying to stop him from zapping with his eyes the one family in the corner. Really, you've killed about 50 families up until that
fucking
point.
Sociopath. What do you give a shit about these people?
he's
the camera's on you.
Now wait, but you brought up Verhoeven, you brought up Starship Troopers. Now that is a very dystopian future.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not a citizen.
Comparing, we're Nazis according to Verhoeven.
It's really weird.
He equates us to Nazis.
Hold on,
It's kind of a guilty pleasure because I actually there's things about it that I just really don't like, but then I do, if it's on, I'll watch it. It's
fantastic.
To see
it's funny, it's dark,
it's
and you
violent,
realize,
and gory.
and when you realize that all the humans are the bad guys, then
The bugs are right. They're defending
Yeah.
their planet.
And
absolutely.
that horrible moment when what's the guy's name? The guy Doogie Howser. What's his name?
Psychic,
Says he's afraid. He's afraid. I mean, I felt so.
But that's
bad.
the point. That's the point.
Yeah, I know, and I
it is.
felt
It's-
bad.
it's
You mean the
ugly.
guy
It's
dressed
ugly.
in the clearly what is a Nazi uniform?
Yes.
It's holding up a mirror to see how ugly humankind can be, in that situation.
But I'll bet the
Right.
fascism is lost on a large majority of the audience who watches
at the time, probably, yeah. I mean,
But maybe it's dawning on them now.
it can be.
It took a while.
It's
It took
true.
a while
That,
for
it's
me,
true that
yeah.
it can be looked at as a simple, dumb action sci-fi
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
But
I think
there's much more going on. Like Robocop, there's much more. Like
They took the planet of bugs and I did nothing.
because like Robocop, because you look at Robocop and the very surface level, it's a very silly prep. It's like
Silly.
this is the future of crime fighting. It's a robotic policeman.
Yeah.
It could have been done in a very simplified surface level way, but Verhoeven took it to that other level.
Are they still letting Verhoeven make big Hollywood movies? I don't think so.
The next, Rick had mentioned, what other film are they gonna remake of Verhoeven's? Hopefully, they will not touch Showgirls. Hopefully, they'll leave that.
Yeah, well,
You know what?
I don't know. Maybe
For
they
once
should.
we agree. Dystopian future.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dystopian strippers.
Everything about that is wrong.
I knew Verhoeven was
Dystopian
gonna come
future.
in.
Dystopian
Oh,
Greg
demon
Travis is in that one too.
booze.
Greg Travis is in Starship Troopers. He's the news reporter
Yeah,
who gets
yeah.
bitten in half by the bug.
That's right.
Yeah,
Is he
right.
He
really?
said that he was up there all night, and Verhoeven's on the bullhorn because he's in mandibles, and there's crew people on a scaffold shaking him back. I'm like, shake him hard. I want to see him flop around. No, do it as an effect, Greg is saying.
Greg Travis
Fix
is.
it in post.
We got to get Greg on this show because Greg has been in a lot of great horror movies, and he's a really great actor. And one of the things I told him when I watched Showgirls, which is so funny,
Yeah.
and
He's great in it. by the way.
and I told him, I said, "You're a great actor, but you should be really proud because you're the only one that's actually acting in that movie. Like everybody else is doing, I don't know what the fuck, like some crazy over the top character, and he's like this glue that keeps it real, as real as it can be.
No, he's a great actor.
Yeah."
So dystopian futures, there's a lot of stuff out there that we've talked about with the games and stuff. What about the world of computers? I was going to talk about the Matrix because
yeah.
to me,
Yeah.
if you think about that, talk
That's
about a
pretty
messed up
dystopian.
future. And then
Right.
I thought about this.
Computers.
Computers. Goes to what are you talking
The
about?
Forbin Project.
No, no. Going
More
back.
of an artificial reality as opposed to
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not
okay.
Tron.
Mr. Intellectual.
But that
yes,
reality
thank
is
you.
that reality is dystopian because the real actual world is
it's terrible.
It's
yeah.
horrible. It's a horrible thing, and it made me think about this. I didn't like where they went with the second and the third movie. My thought
it was like Burning Man.
Well, yeah, but it didn't make any sense. The thing that gets me is, here they tap into people and they say, look, you have your choice. I want to tell you what the real story is, or you want to live in this fantasy
blue
world.
pill, whatever,
Yeah.
right.
And what would happen if they kept doing this to a whole bunch of people and people just got messed up and go, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with this fake world like Neo kind of did at first. He didn't want to accept that reality.
Right.
And I thought to myself, what would I choose? And I mean,
Well, I think a lot of it's to do with like
that's
people
us.
becoming complacent, like not thinking about the reality,
There's a lot of blue pill people.
yeah,
This-
yeah. I mean,
are you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, are you
Well,
a
no,
blue
but it
pill
goes-
person or a red pill person?
But it goes back to Metropolis, how like the elite or not only were they not thinking about the working class, they weren't even aware of them. You know what I mean? It was like the whole their world was so enclosed and so perfect, but the reality was, the working class below them keeping everything going. It's just something that they ignored. You know what I mean?
Well, again, the minute you start to dehumanize someone, it makes it a lot easier to not think about them anymore. They're just these
Right.
cogs in the machine that keeps
Like
you.
literally,
Yeah,
yeah.
as long as you get your TV shows and pizza gets delivered under 30 minutes, everything's groovy. Right. Yeah.
It's not asking.
Merry
much.
Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, we're the Eloy.
Yeah.
We're being fattened.
Wow.
That's another dystopian.
Fattened
One of my
and-
favorites.
And
I love the
carbo loaded for the Morlocks
Yeah,
to dine
totally.
upon when the brain control horns sound.
Exactly.
Right,
So
that's
all
right.
these like creatures
From
that look
1960.
all these
1960,
creatures that look
George
exactly like Dick Cheney just crawl out from the sewer grates.
Yeah, with the mouth, the same
Would there-
mouth off to the side.
But they're blue.
But they're blue.
blue.
The Morlocks are probably one of my favorite monsters.
I love
This is Monster
them.
Party.
Yeah.
One of my favorite science fiction monsters of all time.
With their blinky Christmas light eyes.
Christmas light eyes.
Yeah.
Blink, blink.
Yeah.
The Matterhorn, right? That thing on the Matterhorn.
No, that's not a Morlock. That is a Yeti.
It looks a little bit like
that is a
one.
Yeti.
Yeah, I thought
Come
it looked
on.
like a Morlock.
No,
There's a lot less fur on a
You've seen Morlocks and everything.
Whatever.
Let me keep my Morlock illusions, damn it.
Whatever, James. Morlocks are so completely different than the Yeti.
I wasn't really a big fan of the remake.
No, not at all.
But the classic,
that was garbage.
But the classic one.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of funny, too, that the Eloi, when he goes
Eloi.
and walks amongst the Eloi, it's like, ooh, only white people.
Yeah, right.
Well, here's what we here's what we don't know. No. When I saw the film, this is what I thought. I thought if you remember, no, back me up here. If you remember where his time machine is, remember his time machine doesn't move. Okay.
Yes.
So when the time machine comes back,
He lands in Whitesville.
no, it's England. It's England, okay? Maybe there's another one in, let's say, Africa, perhaps.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
and Brazil, or
Right.
Russia, and
true.
maybe there's other little horn things that come up, you know,
true. That's
and
possible.
raise the alarm. So don't.
Now, I think that Eloi village was like that. It was created like where like a country club was, you know.
Right. Same
Yeah.
basic people.
but
We
it had,
have books.
yes,
This one's called Mein Kampf.
but it had one of them, a very attractive young lady. Mimu. Gosh, she was so stunning. She
Her
did-
last name is the sound that you yell at her if you're working on a construction site. She walks by.
I think to our listeners, I think you can tell that the demon booze has really gotten to us.
Oh, we
because
can't talk about dystopian futures without mentioning one film that tackled the idea of,
Tell me, Sean.
of overpopulation and lack of food, which is Soylent
Soylent
Green.
Green.
Soylent Green, one of the classics,
Soylent
right?
Green.
My favorite line in the whole thing.
Wait! Don't spoiler alert! Don't.
I think everybody.
No, there's no.
Listeners of Monster Party know what
Fuck
Soylent
you.
Green
There's
is.
no spoiler
Spoiler
alert.
alert after several decades? The seal
What's-
broke on it, man.
What's the
It's
line?
public- Oh, it's a love apple. You know the scene, right?
Edward G. Robinson.
Looking at a real tomato.
That's right.
as he's about to die.
Oh my
Charlton
God!
Heston says to Lee Taylor Young, "You're a great piece of furniture."
That's right.
Don't come.
You know what I love about that movie? So that was Edward G. Robinson's last movie. It was his last movie he ever did. And if you think about it, the last scene he films is him dying.
Well, talk about what is it? It's like this was a society was so overpopulated that there was a service where
Yeah.
you could go into this building
Chamber.
and actually be given some.
Yeah, but you're not cremated.
Right, exactly.
But see, they don't take that-
Well,
You
let's
can
just
have
get to it.
have
The
a-
creamed.
idea of this movie is because of this thing that they talk about in the 70s called global warming.
Yeah.
Created a hothouse effect, and now everything is
Food is
dying.
abundant.
Overpopulation.
Yeah,
pollution.
the seas are dying, and so now people think they're getting these little crackers that they get for food that are supposedly made out of soy.
Yeah.
Soylent Green crackers.
But
Yeah.
what we find out is they're made of people.
Would it have been that difficult to make them out of soy? I mean, seriously. I mean,
Yeah. If your society's dying, but the thing that getting back
But
to
James, what about the flavor?
but getting back to what Sean said, what I really like about this society, though, is that it's like, look, there's so many people here. You're uncomfortable. You know what? Here's a service. You can come into this place.
Yeah,
and
voluntary suicide.
Voluntary.
Right.
And we're going to put you in this lovely room, and you get to listen to this lovely
Dinner and a
music.
movie.
And that whole scene, it
Right,
brings
right.
tears to my eye. It's a beautiful.
Well,
It
actually,
is beautiful,
One,
yes.
one of the most effective scenes to me,
It's
though,
really great.
is when they get because it involves Charlton Heston as a detective, and he's like investigating this guy's death, which leads him to find out the secret of Soylent Green. But they go to that rich guy's house, and he actually takes some steak or something. And some actual real food, which is so hard to get. And
Yeah.
when he's sitting at the table with Edward G. Robinson, they're like, I think he's unwrapping the steak or something. He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god, look at that!" They're like so not like Edward G. Robinson just breaks down. He
starts crying.
Like, how do we come to this?
Yeah.
You know, because he's older than Heston's
Yeah.
character.
We're doing all right.
Yeah. It's
We're doing lousy.
Yeah, it's like that's really effective. You know, it's really good.
And that's a movie that's another one like Clockwork Orange, I think, where it really holds up today because it's like an alternate future.
You know, I would say to people, I don't. Some people feel, oh, it's made in the 70s, it's dated, it's got Charlton Heston. You know, it's still a great movie.
It's prescient.
I would recommend it.
It's
I
prescient.
really recommend
And
it.
it really gets across the overpopulation idea too. Like, you know, everything, just people everywhere, and just crowds tipping over people, and it's
And
really good.
I cannot see a pastoral scene with music and a deer and birds and trees without thinking of that death scene either.
That is, but you know, if you think about it, I mean, it would be kind of cool if let's say if you're like terminally ill or something like that.
There are worse ways to go.
There are. I mean, that doesn't sound like such a bad way to go. I think, you know, when
it's like IMAX too, isn't it? It's like big.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, it's huge, and so you get to go out with this, listening. And actually, the funny thing is when they're asking him, okay, what color do you like? What music?
Right,
and he says, classical. Can you imagine if someone said Zeppelin? I want to listen to Led Zeppelin.
yeah,
what was that room going to be like? That's what I'd like to know.
That would
Circle jerks.
that would actually be. That would be sad to say, but that would actually be big in Japan with all the suicides over there. You know, it's like a place you go where you pay to have the perfect death.
And listen to Led Zeppelin?
Well, it might not be Led Zeppelin.
Oh, yours okay. Yours is just saying
I'm
this.
saying the
J-pop.
the culture of
One of our past podcasts was zombies, and zombies, clearly that whole genre lapses into the world of dystopian future. And aside from Night of the Living Dead, one of the original kind of dystopian future movies that I remember growing up with was The Last Man on Earth. I Am a Legend. Richard Matheson, brilliant story. It was a great creepy movie that was before Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah,
and really,
it was. Yes.
and really sort of kind of captured that sort of mood, that feel of the zombies that are coming into your house,
shambling
coming to get
people
you.
outside.
But,
the
so
window.
what's great is there is this virus that seems to be going all over the entire world, and it seems like people are dying. And then there are people that are left kind of just barely alive, but in kind of like a zombie-like trance in a way.
And they're kind of vampiric, right?
They're supposedly vampires.
Yeah.
So as much as Romero is credited with inventing the zombie genre, he must have been influenced by Last Man on Earth.
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely. But I mean, now that movie was remade a number of times. Once, the most recent version would be I Am Legend with Will Smith, which was okay, but but I mean, okay in the sense of that Will Smith I like. Everything else I thought was shit.
Okay.
But before that, there was the Omega Man.
Okay, I love the Omega Man, though. I felt that was a little different, though.
But the Omega Man is one of those movies where I started to enjoy it once I was able to get over the fact that if I distance myself from the idea that it wasn't I Am Legend, then I enjoyed it. It was this kick-ass action movie, and Charlton Heston is amazing.
Heston was badass,
and he's great.
Pretty early 70s.
Yeah,
it was more like an action 70s.
That's more.
movie.
I love that chopper that he had, that biker dude.
Oh yeah.
He just dumps it. He just hops off, dumps it, and starts running. Material things like vehicles mean nothing to them.
Fuck it, yeah. They
just
can
get a new one.
Just grab a new one, yeah. And the fact that Charlton Heston could get that many wigs during an action sequence, considering it was the end of the world.
You know, he looked pretty darn good.
He does.
I don't remember.
He also has his shirt off a lot in that movie.
Yeah, he was a macho guy.
He's going to make the money back on that trainer.
Yeah, he was the post-apocalyptic Gordon Ramsay. He loves to take off that shirt. But yeah, I mean,
you know, the other thing about that film, it had the interracial kiss. You know,
it had the interracial kiss.
Rosalind Cash, right?
But why not do zombies instead of the murderous religious cults and all the?
What, you don't like that? Matt, you don't think that would happen?
Well, look, the idea that a religious cult would become popular in a post-apocalyptic end of the world scenario, yes.
Okay.
The fact that they would all have a day where they make their cloaks.
Okay, no.
Cloak making day on.
Okay, look. Here. Look, it's like it's not like everyone who's alive, just comes together and gets in a row. It's just millions of people are dropping dead like flies. Okay, there's just a few bits and pieces, a few people that have this disease and they have to stay in the shadows and stuff.
And they don't like technology.
No,
because
they blame technology.
They blame technology. So what do? all day just making cloaks.
What?
Close in a cloak store.
But doesn't it make sense?
Alarm goes off.
No.
Start making cloak.
Matt. What they're saying is
2 a.m. snack.
We need to be simple. We need to be wear cloaks like the brothers or the priests or ministers.
You talking about the black dude?
I'm talking about all of them, man.
Okay.
All of the people who are just barely.
Because the black guy did get the shiniest of all the cloaks.
Okay. Well, maybe there is some personal choice. Maybe there is some personal choice that goes into it. He's not even listening to me. No, it makes total sense to me that it's a religion, Matt. They're all convinced.
If the end of the world happens and the only people alive walking the streets are people with shiny new store-bought cloaks, you're going to go, yeah, perfectly logical.
I think
I'm going to fit in just fine.
I think they had the one charismatic guy who said, "Look, the
cloaks for everyone."
He says,
There's the one zombie guy who's great with fabric, does miracles, works through the night.
I'm just saying that.
So I make my own cloak.
It makes logical sense to me. It makes logical sense to me. For you, okay. So we disagree.
The same guy before the disease hit him, he was making team sweaters and same guy.
We got to talk about Fahrenheit 451, too.
Sure do.
Classic example of the government controlling what you want to think. The ironic idea of firemen whose job is to burn books.
Right.
That's their whole idea. So people don't read, don't get ideas. It's like that whole controlling, the government controlling society.
They're like 1984.
Absolutely.
Oppressive. Big Brother.
And hitting the anti-intellectualism is always a good one. There was another movie that was like that God, I'm trying to remember the name, but it was with Christian Bale. Do you remember that movie? Equilibrium, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody, in that you weren't supposed to be creative. You weren't supposed to have really even deep feelings of any kind.
It's another one of the ones that the difference between The Road and Book of Eli. Book of Eli is where he will not allow himself to be preyed upon and shreds bandits all over the place, whereas the other movie, you're kind of at the mercy of the bandits.
Right.
And so this is the same thing. He finally at the end, he's samurai swords he's taking.
right.
That always seems to work in a good post-apocalyptic world.
Well, let's talk about overpopulation,
fantasy
too.
of that, yeah.
Another one that I don't think a lot of people know about is a movie made in the early 70s, which is really good and very bleak, which is called ZPG. Zero population growth.
I don't know that one.
Oliver Reed and Geraldine Chapman.
Directed by Michael Campus.
Society, it's like severe overpopulation and pollution everywhere, and the government has enforced a 20-year ban on natural birth on people. And couples are so desperate to have kids, so the government gives out creepy robot babies.
My God, I'm not familiar with
some
this.
people are like
really
they want to go against the law and have a baby. So it's Oliver Reed and Geraldine Chapman. They have a kid and they're like fugitives now. It's really good.
Well, I'm going to have to put that one on my list. Actually, you guys have brought up a couple that I'm going to have to put on my list.
Yeah.
Another one from the late 70s, Robert Altman's Quintet, which I cannot recommend.
You can't recommend
that's
it?
terrible.
I'm a big Altman fan, and even
no, me too. But that one's
for me.
Yeah.
It's like a frozen Arctic wasteland, and
Where nothing happens.
and there's some sort of a game that's impossible to follow. And
It's a kind of movie that should be remade, to be honest.
Well, thanks for bringing up a movie that I should not see. That's
Hey,
great.
that's why I'm here, man.
Let's do our little final roundup here. As we close this episode out, I would just like to remind people that Children of Men is another great dystopian future film.
Great. Corona.
Yeah, it's so great, so smart. Some of the best action sequences of any movie
Single
I've ever
takes
seen.
that are unreal running through that building.
Unbelievable.
Great.
That would be my big pick. If you're going to see something that maybe in recent history you haven't gotten around to, that's smart. It's about a future where no one has been able to give birth, and suddenly someone gets pregnant, and the shit that goes down.
All right, Sean, what about you?
I like to mention Gattaca.
Right.
1997. Really? You don't like Gattaca?
No.
Oh, I like Gattaca. I mean, Gattaca is kind of a future where genetic engineering, everybody is perfect, superior beings, but those who aren't are kind of naturals, and they're not so perfect. But this one guy, and the not so perfect people have just menial jobs, But this one guy wants to get in the space program, and you have to be genetically perfect for that. So he fakes being a superior being genetically by like using this other guy's DNA, but then there's a murder, and it kind of like, so it's this whole idea of like, is he going to be caught, to be genetically superior? But I found that one really interesting, really different.
You're wrong.
Yeah, well, I look. Hey, look. We've already talked about it, but to listeners out there, if you haven't seen Soylent Green, don't be turned off by it. It was made in '73 and has Charlton Heston. It has a lot of great stuff in it. There's a lot of great other character actors in there besides Edward G. Robins, Chuck Connors, and I can't recommend it more. So that would be my 2 cents there.
Well, we've got to mention Sleeper and shout out to Idiocracy. But my mention is a little controversial. You probably won't think it belongs here, but It's a Wonderful Life, where George Bailey flashes forward to Pottersville, and it's this horrible sort of dystopian nightmare of a town that he left behind.
But it is utopian to Mr. Potter.
Potter,
so
yes.
I disagree.
I would agree, James, that it does not belong here on this list.
Well, that's why it's controversial.
Rick, what about you, buddy?
I don't know. Is Tank Girl a guilty pleasure?
I'll say.
Dystopian.
I forgot about that. Tank Girl. Laura Petty.
That is.
Yes.
Rick, you have been great. Thank you so much for making the scene here. And you got anything you want to plug? Or
Well, I have a podcast called Overview, and it's on the Sideshow Network and on iTunes. So give a listen, guys.
We will. Yes. And James, anything you want to say about our crazy podcast?
Absolutely. Please follow us on Twitter at Monster Party HQ, and find us on YouTube at Monster Party TV, and on Facebook at Monster Party TV.
I don't think you need to beg people so much because they're going to get a lot of great stuff out of them.
I like it when he begs.
Oh, this has been great.
Yes, it has.
Thanks, fellas.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I am Matt Weinhold.
I am Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James GONIS.
Keep America strong.
Watch dystopian future movies, if you can say it.